Need to Succeed, the podcast. This will help you get everything that you want. This will powerlift your life, give you unshakable confidence to achieve your biggest goals and wildest dreams. It's going to help you to create a life that you love and build relationships that you adore. Why am I so confident that I can give you that? This is my job. I'm a mindset and confidence coach. This is what I do for a living. I've never given these life hacks away on a podcast for free before, but that's about to change right now. So put your seatbelts on and buckle up and get ready to enjoy the ride of your lifetime. People call me the mother of motivation, the confidence queen, the person that you go to for positivity. This podcast will motivate and empower you to run at your life, and the fastest way you can do that is to use these techniques, the same ones that I've used in my own life and the ones that I use and encourage for my clients. The only question that is left to ask you is, are you ready? Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to Everything You Need to Succeed, the podcast. I have my wingman, Mr. Chris Gregg.
Yes, here I am, ready for another exciting podcast episode. Thanks to everyone that's been tuning in and listening to the podcast. I've had a really good response already to the first few episodes, so very excited to crack on as we continue with step 5.
Yes, thank you. Yes, let's do this. Step 5 is probably one of the most important steps that we can actually cover. Reason being is, we've spoke about clarity, we've spoke about believing in yourself, we spoke about self-esteem, and we spoke about your personality.
I feel like we've already started our journey down the road. I feel like the cart is rolling down the dusty track and we're starting to make some progress.
Yes, we are. We're making progress, Chris. And now this is where everything has to click in place, because there's no point if you don't know where you're going or how you're going to get there. Now, most people know what they want, but how do you actually get what you want? And that's what step 5 is all about.
Fantastic. So we've got to click it into place like you're putting your seatbelt on at the start of your journey.
Absolutely. Putting your seatbelt on. And this is going to feed into the confidence, because if you don't know where you're going, then you can get a little bit lost. You can get a little bit overwhelmed. So step 5 is all about building your roadmap. It's all about creating the plan. And this actually is titled, Do You Know Where You're Going? And who do you follow and why do you follow?
I follow whoever's driving really slowly, usually a tractor, and I'm thinking, for goodness sake, you're blocking the road. Pull over. That's who I'm following generally. But I'm usually also following Alexa.
And you trust Alexa because Alexa is informed, right? That's why we follow Alexa, why we follow Waze or Google Maps or any of these maps. I follow them because I trust them. Now, when you are building a business or trying to achieve anything in your life, what you must do is have a plan. There's got to be a plan that's been put in place so that you know that if you follow it, you'll get where you want to be.
If you fail to plan to fail. That's what I was told once.
I like that as well.
It didn't encourage me to plan. It just made me feel like I was going to fail the whole time. But yeah, you've got to make a plan, Stan. Yes, Chris.
You got to make a plan. It's really important that you have a plan. And some people say, I just go with the flow. I just see how things go. A lot of the time when I speak to people and say, do you know how you're going to make that happen? Have you figured it out? Have you stepped back and thought to yourself, how am I getting there? I'll just see what happens. I think seeing and waiting for things to happen is a dangerous thing to do, because then you have no control, no guidance, no direction. You're just hoping that somehow what you want will just appear, and that's not a great way to... I don't think that's a great way to try and reach your goals.
I would say that if you've got a plan, it enables spontaneity to happen, because you know what your goals are, you know what the steps are towards that, you know what your plan is, and then when opportunities come along, you can just go, yeah, let's go for it. Let's be spontaneous. Let's do this, because you know that it fits in with where you want to be going on your plan.
Yeah. And
it's not either or.
No, it's not. And I like the idea that when we think about our self-esteem and anxiety, there's nothing more scary than feeling lost, than feeling like I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do this or if I'm supposed to do that, which means that a lot of the time you don't want to make a mistake, you don't want to fail. So you stay where you are. You stay exactly where you are because you're like, well, I'm not going to try that. I'm not going to do that because what if it's the wrong thing to do or it's the wrong way? But when you have a plan and you've been there and asked somebody, which is what I'm going to get to, which this is all about, who do you follow and why do you follow? it's really important that you follow people who've been where you want to be. A lot of the time you can get given terrible advice from people who are nowhere near where you want to be. So this chapter, this step is all about creating the plan, and creating a plan based on somebody who's been where you want to be, who has the experience, the know-how, the knowledge. Because if you ask somebody how to get somewhere that they've not been before, could be a waste of time, really.
It could be like one of those pirate treasure maps that's just not real, and it's got a little X, and you end up digging all over the island looking for the treasure. It's not there.
Yeah, and what happens halfway through when you start to not trust the map? You know, when you start digging and digging, then you start to have this feeling like, well, what if digging's not going to get me there?
No, that's where you need to bring in some kind of excavator or like a massive, really big digger, and then you'll know if there is anything underneath the sand.
Yes, and this actually, do you know what? This is really important. This is why it's so important to have somebody who knows or who's been there to give you the advice. Because when someone says that if you follow these steps and you do this, you'll get there, you'll get so excited by it that you're willing to invest in a big giant digger. Because most people think, well, I'm not getting a big digger.
Especially how would you get it to the island as well? You'd need some kind of aircraft carrier
which you'd have to invest in.
It's going to be expensive. This treasure better be worth a lot of money.
But that's true. Your goals, your dreams, your visions, your purpose, the things that you want is worth everything. So once you know what it is that you want, and you've asked somebody who's been where you want to be or who's where you want to be how to get there, and they've given you their map, and let's say the treasure is you becoming everything that you're capable of. Once you have the map, you are more invested, more likely and more willing to spend a bit of money, spend a bit of time to get the thing that you want, because you know it's not going to be a waste. You know, and this comes back to energy. People go, oh, I don't have the energy to do that. But if you knew that by doing the thing that you've been told to do will get you where you want to be, you'll build the energy much quicker.
It motivates you, doesn't it? Because you know you're definitely going to get something at the end of it. It's not just some pirate in a pub who's sold you a treasure map. You know this is real. This is actually there.
What's the noise that pirates make?
Arr.
Arr.
Arr. You be buying my pirate map. Arr. I'm like, it's 2022. I don't believe that you're even a pirate. You're on the way to some fancy dress competition. No, I be a pirate. Arr. Well, he's got a wooden leg, so maybe he is. And then you buy the map, and then you think, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
How am I going to get to the island? It's just suddenly your life's taken a different path.
I agree.
Is this still a metaphor?
It is, because why would you buy a map from somebody that hasn't done it themselves, who isn't the real deal? Like you said, the pirate in the pub who's dressed up is not the real deal. He is
not Johnny Depp.
He's not Johnny Depp. He's not the real deal. He's not truly living out his life as a pirate. He's playing a game.
You don't know, though. But how can you be sure? But
the metaphor is don't get advice from people who are like pirates, fakers, people who are pretending. You want to make sure, and this is a really important thing. So once you've decided you know what it is that you want, you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to make sure that the people who are giving you the advice are people that I suppose they warrant you listening to them.
How can you tell, though?
Well, that's a really good question, Chris. How can you tell if somebody's the real deal or not? Make a list of 10 people who are where you want to be, or who look like they've helped other people get there, and then ask them a series of questions. So it means that's why episode 4 was all about personality, because in this one, you have to have the confidence, the likability to be able to actually approach some people. Let's give an example of you, Chris, right?
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, my goal is to have my own radio station, yeah? That's my goal. And I need to know, what do I need to do? So I would contact you, and you don't know who I am, and I'm going to have to be likable, engaging, and be persistent to get you to speak to me. And what I would tell people to do is you send an email, maybe by LinkedIn, you say interviewing the top 10 radio experts. So that's the subject. And
I'm like, oh, I'm flattered. She thinks I'm in the top 10.
Exactly.
Not only is she correct, but she knows how to impress me.
Exactly. So
you've got in the door already with that subject.
Yeah, and this is the stuff that's in my book. So you write something like interviewing the top 10, blah, blah.
Whatever they do.
Yeah, and then what you do is...
Pirates.
And obviously only send the email to people that you do really respect. And then you write at the top, hi, Chris. I'm absolutely impressed by everything that you've achieved, and I would like to achieve something similar. I'm just starting out, and so that I can take the steps I need to take, I would love to ask you a few questions. My first question is, knowing what you now know, what would you do differently?
Oh, wow. That is... Everyone's going to be copying that down. They're going to be rewinding the podcast, right? Dear so-and-so, knowing what you know...
And it's true, because now, and the reason why you asked that first question, because you've already got to where I want to be, but I would love you to share with me what you would do differently now that you're there, so that I can avoid getting stuck behind.
Arrested.
Yeah.
It's all right, they're not here for you.
They're not here for me. And the reason why I want to ask that question is because you've got hindsight. So I want you to tell me what you would do differently so that I don't go down exactly some of the wrong dead end roads that you had to go through. So that's smart. Also, I'd ask the question to them, saying to them, what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned? Because I'd want to know what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned along your way, and what should I watch out for? Where are the pitfalls in the road? Please tell me. Is there any shortcuts that you can give me that might help me get there? And that's what you do. You ask 10 people though, and then they all come back. And then what you do then? So this is a real kind of strategy. You get the 10 people. Not everyone's going to respond back.
But do you know what is really clever? That you've asked the question in the email. So it's a lot harder to ignore. If it was just, I'd love to know how you got where you are. Can we meet up? You'd be like, yeah, just ignore that. The fact that you've asked a specific question, they know what to do. It's very easy. They just have to write a reply and answer your question. And that is the way to get a result.
Absolutely. And do you know why I think is also why this is really good? Because anybody who has got where you want to be at one point was where you are. So, and those people genuinely have a heart.
And they can relate to it. They remember.
And they think, do you know what? I wish someone would have told me that. And then you tell them that to give them that bit of information. And also, the reason why you frame the email is, I'm not where you are right now, but my goal is to get there. And part of my goal, I need to figure out what are the steps. So I'm asking you, as somebody who's where I want to be, what did you do? How did you get there? What have you learned? And then you gather all this information, and then you have a look. You know how you look for the mean, the average. What are the common things that everyone who's there has said? Then you build that together, and then you build your roadmap. Now, one thing you can do after is go back to some of them and say, this is what I plan to do moving forward. Is there anything that I've misunderstood? And you ask them all. And then once you get 2 or 3 of them saying, yeah, do that, keep going, follow that, you'll get there. Now you can breathe, going, right, I don't have to have anxiety over, am I making the wrong mistake? Should I be going to this? Should I be paying for this? Should I be doing this? These people have told me what to do. So now you just get on and get your head down.
Do you know what you'll probably also find? Is that you get one person saying, this is what you should do, this 100% worked for me, and another person saying, the first thing I tried was this, and it totally didn't work for me. And what that shows is not everything is going to work for everyone, and you've got to try a few different things to find out what's going to work for you.
Yes, and also it gets you in the proximity. Even though you're not getting to meet them or even speak to them on the phone, you're just getting into the proximity of that kind of vibration of people who are doing what you want to do, and it makes you realize that it is possible. Because I think sometimes the reason why people don't succeed in life is because they have a belief system. They believe that it's just not possible, that it's just out of reach, that they're just not able.
I think it's about believing it. And if you believe it and start acting like it, then it happens. So, for example, if you wanted to be at the top in a certain industry, go to the conference where all those top players are going to be hanging out.
Yes.
And even if it costs you a bit of money, it's a good investment because it gets you on their radar, it gets you seen. You'll pick up so many tips face to face with these people. It's the best way to meet them. It's just go to that TEDx or that kind of industry conference or something, and
show up.
Show up.
Show
do exactly what you would do if you were doing that job.
And that, like what you just said then, Chris, is gold, because a lot of people. Okay, this is something that I've heard been said many times. I mean, for a decade at least. People say, well, I'm waiting for my work to pay for my training. I'm waiting for my work to put me through this course. I'm waiting. I'm like, why are you waiting for somebody else to pay for your personal development or your next level growth? Pay for it yourself. People say, I'm not paying for I said, listen, you've got to pay for it for yourself. You've got to do it. And if you look at it like a spreadsheet, let's imagine a white piece of paper. One side you've got credit. One side you've got debit. Everything that you do that helps you get to where you want to be is a credit. every time you don't do something, it's a debit. So not doing something is actually taking it away from you.
I think it's about budgeting as well, and looking at your life and looking at over the course of a year, how much am I going to spend on coffee? How much am I going to spend on TV subscription, nice meals out,
Clothes.
drinking, clothes? How much am I going to spend on my own personal development? Which of those things is actually going to make a difference in your life? The one thing that is developing yourself.
Spending
All
the
the
money
other
on
stuff
yourself.
is just fun stuff. Okay, paying bills, paying for electricity is probably a massive part of that pie chart. But the stuff that you've got some control over, prioritize your future.
You've got to do that. And, you know, for me and my other half, when we've been building our business and everything, we didn't go on holiday for 8 years. Like, we're still not even married. Because we were like, right, every time we can invest in a wedding or we will invest in ourselves. We'll invest in personal development. We'll go and study something. We'll go to conferences. We'll go to these events. And sometimes I'll go to an event and the whole event, I'll get one little snip, one little nugget that will have so much value. So we already had the mindset of we're always going to invest 7% of our revenue back into personal development. And that has been, for me, like for Christmas, I'm going to be going on a course, which is all about how to create decks, how to create investment decks, because I want to learn how to do that.
And that's your Christmas present. I think you can take it to the extreme. I think you should go on a holiday and you should do some nice things for yourself as well.
But we did that after. So for the first 8 years, we didn't do anything. And then we go and stay at beautiful hotels, you know, £1,000 a night. But before that, we never would.
But a lot of that is because of your success. So you might be doing a speech somewhere or a presentation and you're staying in the hotel for that, but you also get the plus side, which is you get a nice weekend away.
Definitely. And also I don't mind spending money, but I wasn't comfortable spending it, like you said. Like I remember my sister had a really nice like £1,000 Louis Vuitton bag, and for me I was like, I could never spend £1,000. Like
I'm with you on that.
I would never.
That's a lot of money for a handbag.
Yeah, and I was like, it wouldn't even cross my mind even to buy designer sunglasses. I always bought like £1 Primark sunglasses. I would never.
Yeah, but you need UV protection, so you need to at least go to Boots.
Yeah, but this was back then, 10 years ago. But now I buy nice like designer stuff, but I won't buy it. I just think when you're so focused on what it is that you want and you have a vision for your life, you have to be willing to pay up front. You're going to have to be willing to invest in yourself. You're going to have to be willing, like you said, to do an audit of where you're spending your money and your time as well. We talk about return on investment, return on energy. How many back-to-back Netflix series can you watch without like losing your energy being zapped? So you can say to yourself, actually, instead of watching that series, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. I'm going to take notes and I'm going to add that into my life. And I think when you know where you're going, you know what you want, you've been given a map by somebody. If you are serious, then you run along that road. You go, and act as if you don't have all the time in the world, because the truth is we don't.
No. Well, you can watch Bridgerton when you've actually achieved all your goals, but trust me, you're missing nothing. It's one episode that's worth watching.
No, I loved Bridgerton. I absolutely loved Bridgerton. I loved it. But Chris does make a point. You're watching other people's lives. You know, do you want to be a spectator? Do you want to just spend your time watching other people succeed? Or do you want to get in the ring, get in the arena, get on the road, get in the car and, you know, put your foot on the accelerator and then go for it?
Do you know what's really interesting? In all of these box sets that you watch on Netflix, Bridgerton, whatever, at no point in any of those stories do the characters sit down and watch a box set, do they? They're living their lives. They're not watching Netflix.
They're not. They're actually not. I love that.
Do you imagine on Bridgerton, they'd be like, okay, let's pause the action. We shall watchest Game of Thronesist.
Yeah. And
they wouldn't do it.
That's such a good point. Yeah, and I think it's definitely about habit. It's a habit that you make. You make the habit and you say to yourself, I am absolutely going to dedicate my time to becoming the very best version of who I am. No matter how hard it is, no matter how long it takes, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to stay on that journey. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't know how long the road is until you start the car. And that can be the hardest part, I think, in any journey, is just being ready for all eventualities.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important. It's really important that you start the car. And a lot of people get into the car, they're in the driving seat, they hold onto the steering wheel, they look in the rear view mirror to see if, there's anyone behind them. And then they never do put their foot on the accelerator.
Are they rolling backwards because they've left it in gear and they haven't started the car and they don't know, they're just going to crash into the car behind them in the car park?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people have the mindset and mentality is, if I don't move, I'll be okay, I'll just stay where I am. But the reality is that we live in this world that's so fast, things are moving so fast, you actually can't stay where you are. And if you think about the earth anyway, we're constantly rotating, so we're never in the same place.
It's like when you're on a train and you get that sense of momentum. You think you're going somewhere, but it's actually the train next to you at the station that's gone. And then it finishes and you're like, oh, we're still here. We've gone nowhere.
Yeah, and it's very, very easy to think that you're moving when you're not. And you're just still. But you know what? The train that's gone past, those people are actually going towards their destination. And you're still there. You're still in the same place. And I've had so many conversations with people say, all my friends are growing and developing and moving on, and I'm still in the same place. I say, why? I'm afraid that I'm going to do the wrong thing. I'm going to take the wrong step. This is why it's important. Find somebody who is where you want to be and ask them what they did to get there, and ask them to actually draw out the steps. And then if you know these are the steps that they got used to get there, then you can too.
You can sit next to them on the train and you're in the right carriage and you're going to your destination.
No matter how busy you are, if someone said to you, Chris, my goal is to have my own radio station, is to actually do what you do, but I am clueless and I am afraid, would you mind just telling me the first couple of things that I have to do to get me on my way? Would you say, no, I ain't got time for you?
Yes. No, of course I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, because they're coming to you and saying, because for me, and this is why I get a bit serious about this, is that for all of my life, the thing that always held me back was that I never actually knew what to do. And I was always looking for a choreographer, like a life choreographer. Someone to say, these are the steps, this is what you do, keep doing them. But the minute I figured out what the steps were, the minute I used this to ask and study and understand what other people have done to get here, I thought, well, great, all I have to do is just do what they did for as long as it takes. And that is deliberate. So when people say, oh, it's all right for you, I say, no, it's not that it's all right for me. It's that I'm willing to do what's hard and necessary over what's fun and easy. And that's a Les Brown quote. He says, are you prepared to do what's hard and necessary over what's fun and easy? And a lot of people are not prepared to do what's hard and necessary, which is turn off Netflix, go and listen to an audiobook, go and do some research, go and make some cold calls, send some cold emails, put yourself out there in the cold. Or, don't do it and then complain.
It is. You're so right, but it is difficult, isn't it, to do these things that they're out of your comfort zone, especially like cold calling and phoning people up out of the blue. Nobody enjoys doing that, but you've got to force yourself, and then you feel great when you've actually done it, when you've actually achieved it.
Yeah. It is difficult. It is uncomfortable. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at an event where I'm having a stall, and it's not in my environment. My environment is going to big events, having the stage there for me, having everything done for me, and I turn up and I speak. But what I'm going to be doing is going to a little school fete. No one's there setting up for me, set up myself, and then I have to speak to parents who are probably not used to this kind of, it's not corporate in any way, it's very like village school set up, and I'm going to be in an environment where I'm uncomfortable, where I'm going to have to really adapt the way I communicate, because I'm selling like on a market stall rather than selling in a digital way or on a big stage. So I've got to adapt. But is it uncomfortable? Of course it is. Am I willing to show up and do it? Yes, because I believe in what I'm selling. I believe in it enough to overcome the uncomfortable nature of it. And that's the difference.
Wow.
Did you just picture me?
Yeah, I did. I imagine you like on The Apprentice on a market stall selling bananas or something.
Confidence stars.
Roll up. Yeah, confidence stars. Roll up. Get your silver star.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. I've already ordered some little Milky Way stars to entice people in with chocolate, because that's always good.
I like the star theme.
Yes, get them in and then get them to do it. And, you know, it's some of the most uncomfortable times is when I'm standing in like a market stall environment and saying, hey, come over here. Come and try the confidence star. It's a much different environment than me, you know, filming myself and putting an ad out on Facebook, or being in an environment where people know who I am and why I'm there. You know, it's different. But if you're not uncomfortable, you're not stretching. You cannot grow being comfortable. You've got to get uncomfortable so that you can grow. That's it. That's the bottom line. So if you're doing something and you think, oh, this feels uncomfortable, you're growing.
And that is why you call it a mind workout, because you don't do a workout in the gym and not exert yourself and leave the gym going, oh, I just didn't really do anything. I just sat on the machine and kind of looked around the room, watched the TVs. Yeah,
you're right. And you know, Usain Bolt, I heard him say that when he trains to the point where he is physically violently sick. So he'll be running with all this weight on him, and then he'll be sick, and then he'll carry on. And I thought, imagine that you were so focused on reaching your goals that it made you actually sick. That's when you're working so hard. You must be working so hard to get your body in a state where you're sick.
You would ruin your laptop, though. You don't want to do that. Do you imagine you picking the diced carrot out of your laptop, the little bits of sweet corn? You're like, sorry, I just over-motivated myself here. I was listening to the podcast and I literally made myself vomit. I was so motivated.
Yeah, that's an extreme.
But
I know for myself that if I don't go to bed at least once or twice a month feeling sick and nervous about something I've done or something I'm about to do, then I'm not stretching myself enough.
I get that, though. So yeah, do something that makes you scared. Feel that anxious excitement that you used to get when you were first starting out, and now it's all a bit everyday. It's the same for me. I go on the radio, I don't get nervous anymore. And somebody said to me the other day, because I was hosting an awards and the mayor was coming up and she was really nervous. And she was like, oh, God, you must be nervous. I was like, actually, no, probably should be. It's about to stand up in a room in front of 1,000 people, but actually, no, I'm more bothered about whether I'm going to get fed. And do you know what? We were eating pizza in the back, and because we thought we weren't going to get fed, and then they brought the food out. So after we'd eaten a whole pizza, suddenly we got the sit-down meal. It was really, really annoying.
Oh, no.
We got a double meal.
Well, if that's the worst thing that can happen, and I love what you said about you got to the point where you're not nervous, and I think that is through just showing up consistently.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing. So what I'm saying is it's good to feel those nerves and feel that adrenaline, because that's what kind of gets
drives you.
Yes, it drives you.
Well, I must admit, when I've spoken before and I've gone in with like, I'm not nervous at all, and I'm the headliner and I'm going to be speaking, it never feels as good. It's been years since I've not. I remember about 3 years ago, I was like, oh yeah, I'm no problem. And I did it. And after, I think that it was probably one of my worst performances, because I didn't have the energy, the vibration.
I think you do need the energy. I wouldn't say I didn't care about the awards, but it was more excitement than nerves. So I was looking forward to it and I was buzzing and I was like, this is going to be brilliant. I wasn't feeling scared or nervous. I have a slight kind of fear that I'm going to say something really inappropriate, which I generally manage to do.
Do you?
But
I'm not surprised.
It wasn't that bad.
But like you said, I heard this, which Tony Robbins spoke about. He said that so Tony Robbins is a big motivational speaker, and he gets called in when the athlete is struggling, or the teenager is thinking of doing something dangerous. You know, that he's even coached presidents, I think Bill Clinton or someone like that. And he's like high level coach. And he says that he remembers he was once coaching, he was backstage with Rod Stewart. And he was also at another time backstage with another female singer. And he got called in by her and she said, I need you to help me because I keep having panic attacks. And he was like, what happened? She goes, whenever I'm about to go on stage, my heart races, I start to sweat, and my stomach starts to churn. And that's when I know I'm about to have a panic attack. And then he goes on to say, when he was speaking to Rod Stewart, and he said he was backstage with Rod Stewart, and Rod Stewart says, before I go on stage, what happens is my heart starts to beat fast, my palms start to sweat, my stomach starts to churn, and that's when I know I'm ready. And that's the difference. It's about how we process the emotion, because when you're scared and when you're excited, it's the same it's the same chemical emotion in your body. It's the same. There's no difference. It's just how you look at it. So when I'm thinking, oh, I can either go, oh, I'm feeling nervous, or oh, I'm feeling excited. And it's what we give value to the feeling. And I think that's why it's so important that we take control of the way that we feel. And when we go back to when we're talking about the roadmap, when you feel that you're doing the thing that's going to get you to where you want to be, you are excited, because you're like, if I just follow these steps and do this work as quickly as I can, there'll be the pot of gold at the end. And I know it's there. So then the only thing is, it's the gap between where you are and where the gold is. And if you can do the steps that you need to do and keep going, it becomes, that's why I always say I dance through life, because everything that I do is part of the big plan, and I already have the roadmap, and I already can see what the pot of gold is. So everything I'm doing, I'm enjoying, because I know I'm on my way. But if I didn't have a plan, and I didn't know if the gold was at the map, and I was just hoping and trying all these random things, hoping it would get me there, eventually I wouldn't have the energy. And also I would develop anxiety, worried that, oh, if I go and spend £30 on a train going in that direction, what if I get there and it's the wrong place? I have to come back. So that's why it's important to just take a beat, breathe, and say, do I know where I'm going? Do I have a plan? Did the person who give me the plan, are they somebody that has been there? Okay, great. I've got the map now. Now it's time to dance.
Amazing. So that is step 5.
Step 5. Yeah.
Brilliant. I love the fact that you don't just walk down the pavement. You are dancing your way along, because you know that you're going the right way.
Yeah, which means you can have fun, because it doesn't have to all be serious. But I was serious at the beginning of my journey. From the age of 19, I've been a very serious, focused person, just desperately looking for someone to give me a map, but not knowing what to even ask. But once you can get to the stage where we looked at this, step 1, decide what you want. Step 2, believe it's possible. Step 3, build your confidence and core muscle. Step 4, work on your personality so you can communicate well. Step 5, ask the right questions to the right people, and then follow them until you get what you want.
Amazing. So we're going to be back with step 6 in the next podcast. What's step 6 going to be?
Step 6 is all about feeding your mind with the good stuff.
Ooh, food, my favourite subject.
Yes, we're going to be talking about food, Chris.
Brilliant. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.